Good evening. There we are. Thank you, Edison. All right. So thank you all so much for coming out to this wonderful celebration of our dear, dear friend, Roz Corral. And just brief housekeeping. Bathrooms, I'm sure you know. Outside to the left and then all the way in the back on the first floor here. And if you have any cell phones, please make sure they're turned off. Even if you don't think you're going to get a call, it would be terrible to interrupt the show with ringing. So please make sure your phone is in either off or vibrate. And I don't want to waste any more time. Without further ado, let's hear it for Ronnie Ben-Hur on guitar, Steve Wilson on saxophone, Bruce Barth on piano. A Time for Love. A wonderful round of applause for Ronnie Ben-Hur, Bruce Barth, and Steve Wilson. Beautiful. Well, I'm here to welcome you to the Roz Corral Memorial Concert. And first of all, I want to say it feels absolutely spectacular to be back at St. Peter's, the Jazz Church, once again. They were through a tremendous ordeal during not only COVID, but a terrible water main break affected the building and the organ. And I'm so glad that we could be here and they allowed us to come into their space because, as you know, it's been largely closed for the past number of years. So I'm very happy to be back here. And without a further ado, I'm going to read a little something that I wrote for tonight's occasion, and I really didn't write it. It wrote itself. It's chronologically a little mixed up, but it was any of you songwriters out there that know about that, you know, where the pen sort of just moves itself on the paper. I sort of had that experience when thinking about tonight and what I should say. So Roz is considered a singer-singer, well regarded by the public and deeply loved by her peers. There are a number of reasons for this. The warm honey voice that invites you in, the phrasing that has traces of Carmen McRae but is her very own, her mastery of the Brazilian songbook, tunes that many don't dust off too often, such as Favela or Flor de Lis, her ability to take rare gems such as Oscar Brown Jr.'s The Snake, June Tonkin's What a Way to Go, or Frischberg's Wheelers and Dealers and I Can't Take You Nowhere, and make them her own. She often looked at me tongue-in-cheek when singing I Can't Take You Nowhere. Standards that you might have thought to be old hat, Roz breathed new life into them. I often found myself feeling like I was in those movies or shows when she was singing tunes like Zing Went the Strings of My Heart, Wouldn't It Be Loverly, and Let's Face the Music and Dance. But beyond her wonderful singing, her friendship was a truly treasured gift. That is, if you had access to be a true friend. Though Roz was a native Californian, she became somewhat of an old-school New Yorker by the time I met her in 2001. She was a notable West Villager living in an apartment at the corner of Hudson and Charles Street for decades. Besides being an exceptional vocalist, she had an exciting public relations career where she represented a young Denzel Washington as well as Cher, amongst others. She didn't stand for any nonsense or beating around the bush. Roz was an honest and true friend, the best kind. She wasn't afraid to mince words about what she thought about you. Sorry for not shaving tonight, Roz. The company you keep, and certainly about a fantastic or lousy set or show she might have seen. As many of her close friends would know, she asked for the report of any gig you may have attended, and there would be a lot of back and forth as to whether the show was worth attending. I first met Roz on a late spring day in 2001, as Mark Murphy would often stay at the Washington Square Hotel when he had gigs in town, and he asked me to join him for brunch at the North Square Lounge. There, sitting under a tile portrait of Marlene Dietrich, Mark invited me to join him in hearing Roz, and it started a fan and friend relationship that lasted over 20 years. Roz booked the North Square Singers Sunday Brunch for over 20 years, and oftentimes sharing the stage with other vocalists in the audience. I and many others got to hear a variety of different singers that knew this was the place to be. As an aside, I would find out many years later that my mother actually met my biological father at a function upstairs at the Washington Square, so that hotel has a special place for me. Roz participated in many tribute shows dedicated to Murphy. One in particular stands out. Was on July 3rd, 2013 at Joe's Pub. Roz stole the night with a rousing version of Lover Come Back to Me, which is still remembered by many to this very day. Eventually, she performed at his memorial celebration right here in this sanctuary in 2016, and one of our co-producers, Francesca Miano, is here with us for that show. Thank you for being in attendance. For many years after Mark's passing, Roz and I produced and I hosted an annual Mark Murphy Remembrance at the North Square. I was all set to perform Mark's poem, Faulty Eyes, from Beauty and the Beast album at our 2020 gathering. I was told the night before that it had been canceled due to COVID, which seemed prudent. But little did I know the ordeal that my dearest friend was going through, and that she had contracted COVID along with the other health difficulties she was already going through. Later that night, as it turned out to be the last night that jazz clubs were open, March 14th, for a long, long time. I was at Birdland Theater watching a show when I got a message from Roz stating that she was gravely ill and that she was saying goodbye. I was devastated by the news, and I called a number of friends to discreetly cry my eyes out over my cherished friend. The next number of months were a testament to her toughness and her willing to pull through. She had weathered COVID during the worst of it, the return of her cancer and other difficulties, but somehow she mustered her way through all those tribulations and was able to continue gigging once the clubs reopened. Physically, though she was weak, her singing was as strong as ever. There was a new freeness to her sound that made me savor her even more. In March of 2022, we saw the return of the Mark Murphy Remembrance to the North Square, which Roz produced and I hosted. This year, with the help of Ben Cassara and Kate Baker, we saw it return as strong as ever and dedicated to both Mark and Roz. The space has now been beckoned Roz's room, which is appropriate. To be honest, Roz was a major part of the singer scenes and rooms for decades. Barry Harris's Jazz Cultural Theater, Mesro, Birdland, Kitano, Saul Rubin's Loft, Zeb's, The Bar Next Door, Ansel Matthews' vocal series at the Zinc Bar, Midday Jazz right here, produced by Ronnie White here in the sanctuary, and certainly, not least, the beloved and greatly missed 55 Bar. Roz would often close her sets with Fleur de Lis, and I'm going to read just a little piece of the lyric for you. Because of you, my life is upside down. I love you anyhow, but this is much too much to bear. You don't believe in me. Sometimes you disappear. And when I think you're near, you are so far, far away. And then I see you, flying so high in the sky. Be what you are, but please let me believe you are still mine. Thank you, Roz. We're now going to invite one of Roz's longest term and best friends, Amy Beagle, to make some comments. Thank you.
look around, I see Roz's family. Her biological family is sitting over here. Her nephew and her great-nephew, and the family that she gathered around her during the many years she's been in New York. So I don't know if I can even call Roz my friend. Roz was my sister for 35 years. Oh, my show and tell thing. So I think women will especially appreciate this. We know how Roz loved fashion. We know how beautiful she was. All the women who know Roz know that very well. So the last probably 15 years or so that Roz and I were friends, we had a ritual. When I would travel, I would bring her back some kind of treat from Italy or Paris. And the last time I was away, we both agreed that she needed a bathrobe badly. So I told her I'd bring her back a bathrobe from Paris, and this is the bathrobe from Paris. And unfortunately, I got back 2 days before she died. Ronnie and I went to the hospital the night before she died. I didn't bring the bathrobe, but I wanted to show you the bathrobe because I thought everybody here who knows Roz and loves her would appreciate how beautiful she would look in this bathrobe. So I'll pass it around later for you to feel it. I guess just a couple things to say just briefly about Roz. Since I've known her for so long, I had the joy of knowing her mother. I don't know if any of you who knew her mother. Roz was a lot like her mother. Her mother was a beautiful woman. And like Roz, I don't know also if this is something you knew, both Roz and her mother knew a lot about a lot of things. You know, I don't know, maybe Ronnie knows this, but I used to tease Roz that she was like Martha Stewart. I mean, Roz knew everything about food, about design. She and my husband would argue about what kind of gloves to wear when you're opening an oyster. I mean, she had just a wealth of knowledge about so many things. And according to Roz, she got that from her mother. And I remember the first time I met her mother, Roz was singing at Jay's, if you remember Jay's. And Roz, you know how she was more than a singer. Roz was a performer. She was an actress. She was theatrical. She embodied her song. And at Jay's, she came out on the stage with a song in my heart. And the whole place was spellbound. And her mother was sitting there with the biggest smile on her face. And I said to her mother at intermission, I said, "Boy, you look so happy you could fly back to California without the plane." She said, "Absolutely." She was very proud of her daughter. And Roz inherited a lot of her style sense, her taste, her design, her love of food, her vast knowledge and appreciation of everything, I think, from her mother. So I guess that's the last thing I would say about Roz. I think it's hard, I don't know how you feel, this is a room full of musicians. I think it's hard to separate the artist from the art, and Roz was no different. And one of the things, I feel tearful almost, but one of the things that she left me with is Roz had a deep appreciation for the small things, for everything, for the leaves changing, for a sunset, for a great conversation, for a wonderful meal. You know, more than anybody I know, she had that really rare gift of savoring life, even before she was ill. I mean, I think it was certainly heightened after she was ill, but that was true of her since I knew her. So, I guess when I think about why my heart is full, I think my heart is full because Roz left me, and I think left all of us with a picture, an image, a feeling, an experience of what it is to know somebody who so deeply embraces life. And for that, I thank her.
Thank you, Amy, for those beautiful, heartfelt words. Next, we've got a song that was specially written for this occasion by wonderful vocalist and fellow West Villager, Val Hawk. called Song on Your Lips. And Val will be joined by Ronnie Ben-Hur, Steve Wilson, Bruce Barth, and Paul Gill. Please welcome Val Hawk.
When I first, I actually wrote this very shortly after Roz left us. I was at her house and realized I had forgotten the musical number, which was part of my leaving her, was to do a little number. So I started to sing the Carol Burnett theme. Some of you may remember, I'm so glad we had this time together. And she chimed in and sang along, and at the end when we got to the goodbye, she harmonized and she reached her ear and did just like Carol used to do. So this is called A Song on Your Lips, and it's all true. You left with a song on your lips, and that song was a kiss I will always remember. I wept when your light was eclipsed and your breath turned to mist in the chill of September. Your melodies ride on the breeze and sing to the trees to play a reprise of Fleur de Lis, and then I'm muito feliz and my heart is at peace, as if you're here again. And yes, you will always be missed, but your song will persist, and I'll never forget it. The message it whispers is this: if you follow your bliss, you will never regret it. And sing in the breeze to play a reprise of Fleur de Lis, and then I'm muito feliz and my heart is at peace. You are here again. And yes, you will always be missed, but your song will persist, and we'll never forget it. The message it whispers is this: if you follow your bliss, you will never regret it. So live with a song on your lips, with a song on your lips.
Beautiful, beautiful, Val. Thank you for that crafted material. Anybody who's like sitting on hard wood surfaces on the benches, we didn't know how big the crowd would be. There are cushions underneath there. If you move your belongings and lift, not the ones in the pews, people in the back on the side, there are cushions underneath those. Oh, no, there's not. Oh, sorry about that. Okay. Remembering the old days. Apologies. Well, next we have a dear friend of Roz coming up, Mr. Paul Jost. He'll be joined by Jim Riddle, Dave Stryker, and Paul Gill. I love being here with you. Let's welcome them to the stage.
This is a song that was written by Peggy Lee, and I just altered the words some. Don't really need these, but I think I look more handsome with them. Anywhere with you was the best. Oh, how I love being here with you. You love life and all it brings, even the pain that could shake one to their knees. You grabbed hold, gave a big old squeeze. How I love being here with you. Hearing how you sing it, feeling how you swing it, both will always live within my soul. You knew how to play it, knew just how to say it. You sing from your head down to your toes. We love good wine and fine cuisine. By candlelight, we dug the scene, listening to music as the score to your dream. Oh, how I love being here with you. By candlelight, our time was spent, and heaven knows you were heaven sent, and no one didn't know just exactly what you meant. That's why I love being here with you. We loved it. We loved being here. We loved it. We loved being here. We loved it. We loved it. We loved being here. We loved it. We loved being here. We loved it.
Thank you, Paul Jost. Dave Stryker on guitar, Paul Gill on the bass, Jim Riddle on piano. Next, I'd like to invite Roz's family to come to the stage. Darren and Michael Vigil are here with us. Please give them a warm welcome.
I can do this. I can do this. My name's Darren Vigil. Roz, as you call her, and if I call her Nina, same person. We called her Nina as kids growing up. Was my mom's sister, my mom's only sibling. And, I wish we had a presentation, PowerPoint presentation of pictures from the time she was probably 5 years old to some of her most recent years. And unfortunately, we weren't able to get that to work. So we'll have it showing at the reception afterwards. And if anybody would like it, just come up to me and I'll be happy to email that to you. Roz moved from Northern California to LA at a young age, and then from there went on to New York. And so we didn't see a lot of her through the years. We would see her either at Thanksgiving or at Christmas. And in the pictures, you see either a Christmas tree or you see a turkey on the table. So that's when we know which holiday it was. And we also see a young Darren that was probably 100 pounds soaking wet throughout the years. Just a few quick stories because I know other people want to talk and play. My first time in New York, 1985, I was down in Southern Carolina at basic training for the Army Reserves. We decided I was going to come up here and visit with her, so she took care of the tickets, sent me the airline ticket. I came and visited, had a great time, a little bit of a culture shock from California, but had a great time. And she gives me the return ticket on the way home, and I get to the counter, give the lady my ticket. She goes, "Sir, this was for yesterday." Of course, back then, it wasn't an issue. Now it costs you, a $500 change fee. They'd have to get you on another flight somehow, but yeah, and she didn't believe me. She did not believe me when I called her and told her, "Hey, look, you gave me the wrong ticket." So I'd like to thank Bob, Fran, Bruce, Ronnie, Amy, and Ben especially, and anybody else that had anything to do with the services today, any previous services that were held. It's hard to try and plan something from 3,000 miles away, so I appreciate everything that you did, that you're doing, and again, thank you very much. My last real memories of my aunt will be the time that we visited her. We were on the way to Egypt, and we decided we were going to come to New York 4 days early and spend some time with her because at that point, I think she was in year 2 of her diagnosis with the cancer. And so we came, we spent a lot of time with her. We went on our trip, and when we came back, we had one night in New York before we went home to California. And, you never know with cancer. Right, so I'm like, let's go out to dinner with her one more time, just in case something bad happens. Well, something bad did happen, and that was me bringing back COVID from Egypt. And so I'm the guy, that gave her the COVID, and she proved my wife, who's a registered nurse, wrong by beating it, and beating it with cancer. And I mean, just so thankful that she was able to get through that without any, long-lasting effects. In 2020, my mother passed away, and Roz came out, and we do an annual camping trip and to a place called Crystal Basin Recreation Area. And there's a reservoir there called Gurley Reservoir, absolutely gorgeous. Trees, water, the lake, everything is so beautiful. And my mom wanted to be spread, her ashes to be spread there. That's where we will be taking Roz in July of this year to be with her sister. And I'll never forget, when we get there, we have a truck full of equipment, camping equipment. This is bare bones camping. You take your own tents, your own stoves. There's no electricity, there's no hot water, there's no flushing toilets. And she wanted from the very beginning, she said, "What can I do to help?" Nina, you could sit down and relax. Okay? No, I can do this. And I remember she tried to pick up one ice chest. And of course, she couldn't do that. And I think halfway through unloading, she's sitting on the chair, and there's a picture on the computer, knocked out, just fast asleep. I'm like, okay, that's, get your rest. We'll get everything set up and go from there. So That's one of the most memorable camping trips I've remembered with her. She loved camping, again, with lots of pictures of her camping in different places, whether it's Yosemite, Ice House, Russian River, a lot of different places in California. I'm going to miss her, that's for sure. I'm glad that she got 5 more years, even after that diagnosis. And they weren't bad years. She had some bad days, of course. We all know that. But she kicked its butt, you know. And you know, I want to thank again everyone I mentioned earlier, Val. I don't know if I saw Alexis here yet. That helped me, you know, clean up the apartment, helped me get rid of some medical equipment, get it to the right people, I should say. So again, thank you. It's just amazing. She had 2 families. She had a California family, and she had you folks. You guys, you know, she was closer. I know she was closer to you folks, and I'm not jealous. Well, I'm a little jealous. Okay, I'm a little jealous that we didn't get to see her more often. But, you know, we'll miss her, and thank you, everyone, again, for everything you've done.
Good evening, friends, family, or as Auntie would say, my sweets. It saddens me to know why we are all here, but boy, what a beautiful night ahead of us. I'm happy to say she would approve of this entire celebration, although for those of you who really knew my Aunt Roz, she probably wouldn't mention that. And instead, she would showcase a smile with her sway. This room radiates so much love that it warms my heart to know how many people my aunt touched during her time in New York City. I want to begin by thanking all of those near and far who have in one way, shape, or form left a beautiful impact on my late aunt. Specifically, Amy, Bruce, Ronnie, Ben. When it came to my aunt, you guys were more than friends. You guys were family. In writing this, my mind doesn't know where to go because there's so many memories of her that I have. So here we go. My relationship with my Aunt Rosalind, a gal from Kelseyville, California, was complex, as I'm sure it was with many of you. It wasn't until my early teen years that I established a relationship with her and finally got to experience her in her glory at the North Square. Her voice, while performing, was so mesmerizing, you could tell that her strong will would come through from the life she had experienced. One I'm incredibly happy I got to be a part of. It wasn't until a few years after my first visit that we became extremely close. She was my mom away from home, and the phone call or text to amp up my confidence in whatever crazy situation I was in. While on the other end, she was there also to challenge me. Her whole being had this incredible demeanor, one that inspires me yet until this day. It almost commanded you to provide your point of view, to converse with her, and even be in the same room as her. Growing up in California, as my father just mentioned, we would gather once a year to go to a place in El Dorado County. The place is simply magical. Some trails lead to nowhere, a mesmerizing dam with huge rocks, and a lake that is ice cold. You can only laugh at the ridiculous noises we would make when jumping in. One evening, she and I walked to view the Milky Way. It was during this walk that we got really personal. We shared inside secrets, as she would say. It was at this moment that she allowed me, yes, she let me be myself. Soon her distance became faint, and my relationship with my aunt from New York was so solid I could call her out on her BS. I'm unsure if she knew this, but it is also because of her that my career took off for the greater good. I was 22 years old, and I had come to visit New York City for Thanksgiving. This is where I had met Amy and her wonderful husband, Alex, who hosted us and welcomed me into their home for a holiday feast. The reason behind this trip, however, was due to my first corporate interview. I, of course, stayed with Aunt Roz because she wouldn't want it any other way. She prepared me, she grilled me to the bone, and ensured I had a firm handshake. She was again being my mom away from home. A month later, a day before Christmas, I received the call that I had gotten the job, and she couldn't be any happier. As I grew older, our relationship solidified even further. Her health journey took many turns, and she always called me to give me what she defined as a need-to-know basis of information. She would, in return, yet ask for my point of view. And I'll wrap this up with a quote from Steve Jobs that I thought was appropriate. So here we go. Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs and the square holes. The ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward, and while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius, because the ones who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones who do. Thank you.
Wow. Deep breath. Well, next I'd like to invite to the stage my jazz mother, and somebody that really, Roz was so thrilled when Sheila came to the North Square, not only to see her, but to participate in the Mark Murphy remembrance that we do every year. And as Sheila says, that's my kid brother, man. And we'd like to welcome to the stage my jazz mother, and probably most of you in this room, Sheila Jordan with Ronnie Ben-Hur and Harvey S.
Thank you. Yeah, I really love to go. She called me and said, how come you're not down here in Mark? I said, forget Mark, what about you? So I did go down there. She was a wonderful woman, just a grand, beautiful singer. And yeah, for you, Roz, much love. I know you're up there singing your heart out with all those great musicians that are up there in heaven with you. New York, as John Hendricks would say, a city so nice they had to name it twice. Some people might tell you it's a coal town, but let me tell you, brothers and sisters, it's a soul town. There's a lot of giving and taking if you're trying to get by in New York. I heard somebody say once, think you can lick it, buy you a ticket, get to the wicket, go. New York, New York. Yeah, baby. A city so nice, they had to name it twice. here on the 27th floor, looking down on the city I love and adore. For you, Roz, it's autumn in New York. Why does it seem so inviting? Autumn in New York, it spells the thrill of first nighting. Glittering crowds and shimmering clouds, in canyons of steel, they're making me feel that I'm home. Autumn in New York, that spells the promise of a new love. Autumn in New York is often mingled with pain. Oh, such pain. Dreamers with empty hands may sigh for exotic lands, but autumn in New York, it's good to feel it again and again and again. Autumn in New York, it spells the promise of a new love. Autumn in New York is often mingled with pain. Oh, such pain. Dreamers with empty hands may sigh for exotic lands, but autumn in New York, it's good to feel it you, Roz. Think you can lick it, buy you a ticket, get to the wicked, go. New York, New York, a city so nice, they had to name it twice. Some people might tell you it's a cold town, but let me tell you, everybody, tonight, it's a soul town. New York. For Roz, we love you. You'll always be in our hearts and in our soul.
It gets me every time she sings that. I must have heard her do it live hundreds of times. But just the ability of a singer to be able to connect to humanity through words, it's just so deep, so powerful. And the message, and you could just see Roz throughout those scenes walking throughout New York. Thank you so much, Sheila. Ronnie, Harvey S. We're going to invite one of Roz's longest term and best friends and a wonderful vocalist in her own right. Please welcome to the stage Linda Ciafalo.
I'm so glad that we are here and this is happening. She would have been thrilled. She's here. I feel her in the room. She was such a wonderful person. We were friends for a long time. I didn't hear anybody mention the fact of what a wonderful cook she was. We would get together in my kitchen and just whip up all different kinds of food. It was great. And one day I was making guacamole, and she said, "Excuse me." Let the Mexican do it. We had so much fun together, lots of laughs, lots of laughs. She was a wonderful caretaker. She took care of her family. She took care of all of us. She gave a lot of people work. She took care of her musicians. They're all here honoring her. This is beautiful. She took care of the singers. We loved her so much. And there's a lyric that I think of by Stephen Sondheim that speaks of caretakers. It's from Sweeney Todd. Nothing's gonna harm you, not while I'm around. Nothing's gonna harm you, no sir, not while I'm around. Demons are prowling everywhere nowadays. I'll send 'em howling, I don't care. I've got ways. No one's gonna hurt you. No one's gonna dare. Others might desert you, not to worry, whistle. I'll be there. Demons will charm you with a smile for a while, but in time, nothing will harm you, not while I'm around. And I feel her around. God bless you, Roz. We miss you so much. This is so wonderful that we're here at St. Peter's. Thank you, everybody, for coming out and honoring her. Thank you, everybody, for putting this together. It was great.
Thank you, Linda. Next, we're going to invite to the stage a wonderful gentleman, a great friend. He also made Thanksgiving and Christmas, and Roz would come out and enjoy, well, I should say Joe's cooking. Joe is here. If anybody's ever been to Ben and Joe's house for a meal, you're in for a treat. Wonderful. And Roz would bring one of her famous dishes to the party, all the time as well. And Ben, you were so close and spoke to Roz every day. I mean, you're an angel, really. And we'd like to welcome Ben Cassara with Josh Richmond on the piano and Harvey S. on bass. Please welcome them.
I'm not going to talk because I wouldn't be able to sing, but I miss her every day, and I'll never forget her, and she'll always be here. And this song, I guess I am talking a bit. I love this song since I was a child, and she loved this song, and we didn't realize we both loved it, but she hated the movie that it came from. And I loved the movie. So when she found that out, she would always state that fact and point to me before she sang the song. So it's very apropos I do this. Often I think this sad old world is whistling in the dark, just like a child who late from school walks bravely home through the park to keep their spirits soaring and keep the night at bay, neither quite knowing which way they are going. They sing the shadows away. Sometimes I think my sad old heart has given up for good. Just then I see a brand new face, I glimpse some new neighborhood. So walk me back home, my darling. Tell me dreams really come true. Whistling, whistling, here in the dark with you. Often I think this sad old world is whistling in the dark, just like a child who late from school walks bravely home through the park to keep their spirits soaring and keep the night at bay. They're neither quite knowing which way they are going, so they sing the shadows away. Often I feel my saddled heart has given up for good. Then I see a brand new face, I glimpse some new neighborhood. So walk me back home, my darling. Tell me dreams really come true. Whistling, I'm whistling here in the dark with you. Whistling, whistling here in the dark with you. For Roz.
Beautiful, Ben. Thank you. Well, next we're going to invite to the stage a fellow 55 Bar alumni. So many of you actually that are playing tonight. We have great and wonderful memories of the 55 Bar. And we'd like to welcome to the stage the wonderful Jane Irving. She'll be joined by Josh Richmond, Santi DiBriano, and Gilad Hexelman. Please welcome them.
Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be asked to sing this evening, and this has been such a beautiful turnout and lovely speeches and beautiful songs. I actually played at North Square on Sunday, and well, Roz was missed. Her discerning but nurturing gaze was missed. And the Australian in me, well, I'm all Australian, always appreciated her shooting from the hip, telling me, suggesting to me, perhaps, what tunes I might do, what tunes I might take off the repertoire. But I was chatting with Ben Cassara after the gig, and I said to him, you know, everybody needs somebody, at least one person like Roz in their life, you know. And I'm so glad to have known her for the short time that I did. Anyway, I'm going to do So Many Stars. This is Sergio Mendes, So Many Stars. I am, like I said, so happy to be asked to sing this evening, and joined by these beautiful musicians, Gilad, Santi, and Josh. The dawn is filled with dreams, so many dreams. Which one is mine? One must be right for me. Which dream of all the dreams? When there's a dream for every star, and there are oh so many stars, so many stars. The wind is filled with songs, so very many songs. Which one is mine? One must be right for me. Which song of all the songs? When there's a song for every star, and there are so many stars. Alone the countless days, the endless nights that I have searched, so many hearts, so many eyes, so very many smiles. Which one to choose? Which way to go? How can I tell? How will I know? Out of all the so many stars. Days, the endless nights that I have searched, so many hearts, so many eyes, so many smiles. Which one to choose? Which way to go? How can I tell? How will I know? So many stars, so many, 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 many. Which one to choose? Which way to go? How can I tell? How will I know? How will I know? So many stars, so many stars. Dum, dum, dee, so many stars.
Beautiful. Tremendous. Thank you, Jane, Santi, Josh. I want to say about Gilad, I remember watching Roz playing with Gilad at the North Square, and she'd look back and see the smile on his face and just, oh, what a terrific smile. And she loves, loves, loves your children so much. Roz loved all the musicians' kids. I mean, she was Auntie Roz to a lot of wonderful musicians' children. And such a loving spirit for children. Okay. So next, we'd like to introduce to the stage Jim Riddle, Santi Debriano, Gilad again, and Steve Wilson. I believe they're playing I Remember You, but we will find out. Please welcome them.
So, just would like to make this a plural for Roz. We remember you. Yeah. She remembered us.
Wonderful. We remember Roz. Thank you again to Steve Wilson on saxophone, Gilad Hexelman on guitar, Santi DiBriano on bass, Jim Riddle on piano. Okay, next we'd like, I'm not going bonkers. There was a switch in the program. I'm sorry I didn't announce that to you all. But next up, we're going to invite a longtime friend of Roz and the musical director for her wonderful album, Telling Tales, which if you haven't noticed is back there, and it's free. So please take a copy or two of Telling Tales with you. It's a wonderful album. And even if you don't have a CD player, it's a wonderful memento to have Roz's beautiful pictures on there, and there's beautiful liner notes. So please take one with you. And I'd also like to say that tonight's event is being live streamed on the St. Peter's Facebook, YouTube, and their website as well. So if you want to share this event with those who are your friends and family, please, go online and share that. And for those of you taking pictures and video, please make sure to get that to us, Ronnie, Bruce, myself, Ben, so that we can post about the event. Is Frank singing now, or? Okay, Bruce Barth.
Thank you, folks. I'd say my heart is full. The music has been so beautiful. To hear these great singers and instrumentalists come out, it's just really touching. So I'm going to speak briefly, and I have a few written notes because I get a little flustered sometimes in this kind of situation. So I did want to say that, of course, like so many of you, I miss Roz greatly, but there's so much to celebrate about her life. And one of the things that came to mind is something Darren touched on. Man, when she got that diagnosis of pancreatic cancer, how many people live more than a few months? So 5 years, that's a celebration. And I really second what Darren said. They were great years. She had some struggles, health struggles, even some hospitalizations. But she sang beautifully. And I think the people who were close to her even drew closer. I think everyone felt a sense of just a love and appreciation and gratitude for the times we could have together. And I was particularly moved by so many people gave so much to Roz. And I wanted to say something that we got something back. And I have a very vivid memory of March of 2020, also something Ari had mentioned, when Roz, on top of the pancreatic cancer, had COVID. And I actually visited her in the hospital. She was in Langone Hospital. And I vividly remember this night because she was in isolation behind like a glass doors, like a glass wall. And I was actually, so I was concerned, oh my goodness, my friend not only has cancer, but COVID. And I was really worried about her surviving. And to be honest, I was a little freaked out myself taking a bus across town and going into a hospital when COVID was surging. But I had to see Roz, and I brought her a CD player. And of course, true to Roz, she made a few musical requests. So it wasn't just bring what you like. She requested Nat King Cole and a few other vocalists. And I'm not sure I told Ronnie this, but she wanted the music of her friends. So she wanted some of my music and some of Ronnie's music. So I brought her the CD player. But the thing I wanted to say was that, so I couldn't go into the room, and I saw her behind the glass, and we spoke on the phone. I called her on the cell phone. She answered, and I'll say this, for someone who had trouble breathing, she sounded calm and together. And I realized it was strange. First of all, I didn't want the conversation to end. We were just chatting. I was kind of filling her in on things I was doing. And I realized when I left the hospital, I felt calmer and I felt better than I felt when I got there. And supposedly the visitor cheers up the patient. And I think all of us who drew close to her as she had her health challenges and towards the end, I think in a way Roz had this special power that a lot of you know. I think we got more from her than she got from us. And I bet many people have that same feeling. I just wanted to share one other thing, two other brief personal stories. I always thought of, as some people commented, I thought of Roz as the quintessential New Yorker. And I'm referring to the New York of culture, music, and hipness. Roz was just so hip, you know. It's a hip lady. And places like small clubs, bookstores, dance studios, the Jazz Cultural Theater, places like that could survive, if not always thrive. And I know Roz, as has been mentioned, she learned a lot there, and she participated in these magnificent concerts of Barry with I'm sure some of you were there with big bands and strings and chorus. And I didn't realize how lucky I was to be in New York in those years, and this was in the late 80s. And I did realize when I moved to New York, though I would visit before then, I did realize how lucky I was to meet Roz. And the way it happened was she used to work at this club, Canestell's. It was a cavernous Italian restaurant on Park Avenue South. And she called me for the gig. There was not a pianist there, and I don't really remember who made the introduction. We were thinking maybe Amy did, but so I used to bring my Rhodes. I had a car at the time. Put my Rhodes in the trunk of my car, drive to Park Avenue South, and we became friends. And I like to think it wasn't because of the Rhodes. And we played, and I loved Roz from the beginning. And then if I could fast forward many decades, I just want to briefly talk about her gig at Mesro. It was the last time I played with her. And originally, Roz was slated to play Mesro in March of 2020, and right before the shutdown. And she actually got COVID about a week before that gig. And it was with Paul Gill on bass, who, of course, is here tonight. And so in typical Roz fashion, she insisted we play the gig. I felt without Roz, I didn't even know if I wanted to play the gig, but she said, no. You guys go ahead and play the gig. And so, of course, then New York shut down the night of that gig. And fast forward 2 years, last February, the gig was rescheduled. And Roz was just so thrilled. She had wanted to get in Mesro for a long time. And I remember she was ecstatic to sing for a packed house of just friends, colleagues, fans. It was a beautiful night. And I'll never forget that night, and it was some 33 years after I'd first played Canestell's with her, so it was a long span. And that night she noticed I was straining to see the music. My eyes get worse every year. I don't know if anybody can relate to that, but she noticed I was straining, and so to see the music, because it was a little dark in there. 3 days later, I get a package from Amazon. It was a piano music stand light. And I bring it, I have it here today, I don't need it here, but I bring it everywhere I play, partly to read the music, but it's also to remember Roz every time I play. So thank you.
Thank you again for those words, Bruce. Wonderful. And now we'd like to have on the stage, well, we do have Frank Sr. on the stage. Wonderful Frank Sr. Beautiful applause for him. Dave Berkman, Peter Bernstein, Jay Lenhart, and John Mosca. Wow, a super band here.
Wow. Good evening. Good evening. Roz, what's going on, baby? I met Roz at the Jazz Cultural Theater 40 years ago, and I can't believe I was only 30 then. It's amazing how time goes. But she used to sit next to me at the Jazz Cultural Theater. We sit on the couch, and she would sit there and give me description, blow by blow, play by play of all the faces that the singers were making, and you know. So we got to become friends, and then she introduced me to Kobe Norita's workshop downtown on Lafayette. So we started doing some of these workshops and everything, and it was beautiful. Kobe then asked me one day, she goes, Frank, I want you guys to do a concert here, and you can pick 4 singers to be on your show. And I said, wow, bet. I've never been a host before. I have no idea what I'm doing. But the first thing I did was I picked Roz. And I picked Janice Savage and Robin Connell and Bob Jackson. And the day of the show, I'm sitting there, I'm saying like, wow, this is amazing. This is like putting a stew together. So I introduced the first one. I forget which one it was. And I said, this is the vegetables of our stew. And then the next one, I said, this is the gravy of our stew. And then I said, Bob Jackson, you know, that's the meat. And I said, and Roz Corral, the potatoes. So I said, and Frank Sr. was the dessert, you know. So the next week, we come back to the workshop, and she stepped on my toe real hard, real. And I said, what? She said, what? I said, well, you're stepping on my toe. She said, did it hurt? I said, yeah, it hurt. She goes, well, I don't understand why you made me the potatoes. Why you gotta make me the potatoes? And then she said to me, Frank, the song that you did, though, that night made me cry, man. And I did You Changed because it was Billie Holiday, you know, around that time, her birthday. And so then years later, I'd say maybe right before COVID, I ran into Amy and Roz at the Knickerbocker, and I said, wow, you sound so light, man. You sound, you know, I meant energy, you know, like I couldn't believe it was her. She was so alive, so vibrant. And the next day I get an email, and she goes, what do you mean by light? I said, what do you mean? I meant energy. She goes, no, you meant that I wasn't the sack of potatoes that you thought I was back then. So, Roz, I love you. And 40 years later, I'm doing this song again for you. I'm sure it's a little different now. The range ain't what it was, though. But to you, Roz. Not to you, but for you. You changed, that sparkle in your eye is gone. Your smile is a careless yawn. You're breaking my heart. You changed. You changed. Your kisses now are so blasé. You bored with me in every way. I can't understand. You changed. memory that we shared. You ignore every star above you, and I can't realize that you'd ever get it. You changed. You're not the angel I once knew. There ain't no need to tell me that we're through. It's all over now. You changed. Hey, Roz, this was for you, baby. Words like I love you, each memory that we shared. You ignore every star above you. I can't realize that you ever get you. Changed. You're not the angel I once knew. Ooh, there's no need to tell me that we're through. It is all over now. You changed. You changed. We love you, Roz. Love you. Thank you.
Frank Sr., John Mosca, Peter Bernstein, Jay Lenhart. Well, we've got the same band staying up for an instrumental number, so let's enjoy the band. What is it? Blue Roz. There you are. Delicious with your morning cereal. Dave Berkman, piano. Jay Lenhart on the bass. Peter Bernstein on the guitar. John Mosca on the trombone. Next, we'd like to introduce a wonderful singer, and doing a tune that Roz loved to do, "Throw It Away" by Abby Lincoln. Please welcome to the stage Marianne Sullivan, along with Roni Ben-Hur, Bruce Barth, Paul Gill, and Steve Wilson. I'm sorry, was there a change? Oh, I changed it. I am sorry. That will be next. But please welcome to the stage Roni Ben-Hur.
Thank you very much. I don't mind not speaking, but my daughter sent me something to say, so I can't say no to her. Roz has been a sister to me since I met her 37 years ago. And what I think about Roz is truth and love. She was always truthful and always with love. And I always felt like when she looked at you, she saw your core. Doesn't matter how many feathers you have on your cap, if you have a cap at all, she just looked right through you. And it didn't matter to her. I mean, it mattered to her. She was happy for you. But what matters to her is who you were and what you are and what you do. And the other thing about her is that she was a very loyal friend. She forgave you. They say that to forget is human, to forgive is divine. Forgive is divine. She was divine. Because I did a lot of bad things in my life sometimes, and she would forgive me, but she would point the finger at it, and she would talk to me about it, but she would see through it and help me work through it. She always made me feel that whatever it is, she'll be there with me, and we'll get through it together. She was really something. She was the godmother of my daughters and Amy Lunda's daughters. Sophia is here, my older daughter, and Anna, she asked Anna to speak, but Anna got a stomach flu. So she asked me to read something very short. Okay. I wish I could be there tonight to celebrate Roz Corral, so I'm sending my dad to share what I'll be holding in my memories of her. She was in my life since I was born. She really was. She came to the hospital right after the kids were born. The morning that they were born, whatever that time was, she showed up. She was in my life since I was born as my godmother, although I just know her as my Auntie Roz. I remember her in the way we would celebrate together, the dishes she brought to the holiday, the apples we would peel together to make charosses for Passover, the gifts she bought me for my birthdays, including a sketchbook that became a treasured and well-used item in my childhood. I will always remember her in the West Village, a neighborhood that to me, a kid from New Jersey, felt incredibly fascinating. She felt like a part of the area, like one of its beautiful buildings and winding streets. Having been there for so long and through too many of its changes, I know she was a steady and beloved presence in the world of New York City jazz, and I feel grateful that, to me, she was just my auntie. Thank you for all celebrating and sharing her in her memory. Thank you.
Now, please welcome Marianne Sullivan and Roni Ben-Hur, Bruce Barth, Paul Gill, and Steve Wilson. Thank you.
Good evening. I've been sitting here the whole time trying to decide if I should say something, if I would be able to say something. I don't know that I've decided just yet. I guess I'll say this. Roz gave me my first gig in New York. Shoot. I did the Jazzmobile Festival, jazz vocal competition, and I did not win, which was okay, by the way. And back then, in the Jazzmobile competitions, they would do them in these ballrooms, and there'd be all these people who bought tickets, and at the time, I didn't know anybody. I was new to the city. And it was a really kind of lonely, seemingly cutthroat, bizarre event. It wasn't very pleasant. But so, you know, I lost, fine. I went home, and the next day, what found me was an email through my Facebook Messenger, which back then, really, we're talking like 2007, 2008. Nobody DM'd you yet. But there was a message from a woman named Roz Corral who was reaching out to let me know that she was a singer and that she was there last night and that her and everyone at her table had voted for me. And it was probably my first time really being sort of taken into the fold of singers, of women, powerful, storytelling, exciting, vibrant women. And I wrote her back and I was like, oh my God, thank you. That's like the nicest thing. And she was like, I do this series at North Square and I want to find a date for you. And that was my first real gig under my name in New York City. So, yeah. But fast forward through all these years, now, you know, yes, she told me when she didn't like my songs. She told me when she thought my arrangements were whack. She let me know when I was playing with musicians who weren't supportive. She also showed me by example who to play with, as can be seen by the amazing gentleman here. She always gave me charts if I told her I liked the tune after a gig. She would just be like, here's the chart, sing it. And she was really annoyed at me when I was pissed off that I had to take a teaching job. She was like, this is good. This is gonna be great for you. And I was like, no, it isn't. And she was, the last 4th of July at Ben's house, we had a really nice argument about it. It was awesome. She was like, you gotta get your head on right. It's gonna be great. But all the while, supportive, loving, as everybody knows, honest, so honest, and straightforward with you. To make you better, to make you in the right place, to let you know that no matter what happens, she would be there. And it was just magical. So this is for you, Roz. I think about the life I've lived, just a figure made of stone. I think about the things I've lost, all the things I gave away. And when in a magic book. Oh, throw it away, throw it away. Give your life, give your love each and every day, and keep your hands wide open. Let the sun come shining through, 'cause you can never lose a thing if it belongs to you. There's a hand to rock the cradle, and there's a hand to help you stand. With a gentle kind of motion as it moves across the land. And the hand is unclenched and it's open, gifts of life and love it brings. So keep your head wide open if you're needing anything. So throw it, throw it, throw it, throw it away. Go and throw it away. Give your life, give your love each and every day, and keep your hands wide open. Let the sun shine through, 'cause you can never lose a thing if it belongs to you. There's a hand to rock the cradle, a hand to help us stand. Oh, a gentle kind of motion as it moves across the land. And this hand, it is unclenched and it's open, gifts of life and love it brings. So keep your hand wide open if you're needing anything. So throw it away. Go on and throw it. Go and throw it. Go and throw it away. Give of your each and every day, and keep your hand wide open. Give the gift of love, for you can never lose a thing if it belongs to you. Give your life and give your love. Give it away, give it away, give it away, give it away. For you can never lose a thing if it belongs to you. Thank you, Roz.
So while they get the video prepared, I wanted to say thank you for everyone for coming out today. Thank you to St. Peter's Church for allowing us to be back in your space. And hopefully, I've heard good news that there'll be more jazz happening in the near future here, hopefully. So give a big cheer for St. Peter's and their tireless staff. Remember to take a CD with you on your way out today, and there is an after party if you'd like to join us. There'll be music and refreshments there, but we do realize that we are very over time right now at the church, and so I ask for you to give your greetings on the way over or at Draft 55, which is located at 245 East 55th Street, between 3rd and 2nd Avenue, closer to 2nd. We have the back room reserved at that venue, and there'll be more music and refreshments there, like I mentioned. So please do your greetings, say your goodbyes, give your remembrances over there, and not here at the church, because we do have to move on. And yesterday I heard The Rain, which is a video from the Soapbox Gallery with Roz singing. Let's cue that up. Thank you again, everybody, for coming. Beautiful. What a beautiful night. We love you, Roz.
Esta tarde vi llover, vi gente correr y no estabas tú. Esta tarde vi brillar un lucero azul y no estabas tú. Esta tarde vi que una vez enamorada dabas besos a su amor y no estabas ilusionada. Esta tarde vi llover, vi gente correr y no estabas tú. sé cuánto me quieres, si me engañas o me extrañas, solo sé que vio ver, vi correr y no estabas tú. Yesterday I heard the rain whispering your name, asking where you'd gone. It fell softly from the clouds on the distant crowds as I wandered on. Out of doorways, black umbrellas came to pursue me. Faceless people as they passed were looking through me, no one knew me. Yesterday I shut my eyes, face up to the sky, drinking in the rain. But your image still was there, lighter than the air, brighter than flame. Yesterday I saw a city full of shadow without pity, and I heard the steady rain whispering your name, whispering your name. Yesterday I heard the rain whispering your name, asking where you'd gone. It fell softly from the clouds on the distant crowds as I wandered on. Out of doorways, black umbrellas came to pursue me. Faceless people as they passed were looking through me, no one knew me. Yesterday I shut my eyes, face up to the sky, drinking in the rain. But your image still was there, lighter than the air, brighter than a flame. Yesterday I saw a city full of shadows without pity, and I heard the steady rain whispering your name, whispering your name. Whispering your name. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Roz. And thank you to Tracy Yared, who put that video together. We'll see you all at 245 East 55th Street. And thank you again to the producers, Amy Beagle, Bruce Barth, Ben Cassara, and Roni Ben-Hur. Thank you so much for putting this all together. And thank you, most of all, for coming. Thank you.